quite yet, Dennis.
Water, have a coffee.
I FCT.
We're live now.
I declare this meeting of the Glamorgan Spring Bay Council held on Tuesday, the 27th of August 2024, to open at 2:01 p.m.
The Glamorgan Spring Bay Council acknowledges the traditional owners of our region, the Palawa people, and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. Pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging.
Welcome to this meeting. Present in the chamber today, all councillors are present. We have therefore no apologies and leave of absence. In attendance is the General Manager, Mr. Greg Ingham, Director Works and Infrastructure, Mr. Peter Porch, Director Planning and Development, Mr. Alex Woodward, Director of Corporate and Community, Mr. Les Blaine, our Executive Officer, Ms. Jasmine Kerr, and our Senior Consultant Planner, Mr. Nick Purvis. Thank you. Agenda item 1.4 is late reports. General Manager, I don't believe we have any late reports. Thank you. In accordance, the Mayor requests elected members to indicate whether they have any interest personally or via a close associate as defined in section 49 of the Local Government Act 1993, or any conflict as described in Council's Code of Conduct for councillors in any item included in the agenda. Is there any conflicts? Nothing declared.
Excuse me, does that include for the confidential part of the meeting also?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
That's handled
Councillor
separately.
Triplett, I think that could be separate.
Thank you.
Councillor Gregson.
With regard to the Swansea, I think it's Christmas parade, that is not an incorporated body. It's being sponsored by the, for want of a better word, the Glamorgan Spring Bay Historical Society. I'm a member of that society, so do I exclude myself when that is presented?
Whether you declare an interest or not, Councillor Gregson, is entirely your decision. It's not a decision I can make for you.
Yes, I think I'll
Will declare an interest.
I'll remove myself from that discussion.
Thank you. Councillor Gregson has declared an interest in agenda item 8.8. Thank you. Thank you. No other interest? Thank you. We'll move on. Agenda item 2 is the confirmation of minutes, the ordinary meeting of the Council, 23rd of July 2024. There is a recommendation on page 6. Thank you. Councillor Woods, thank you.
Thank you. I move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on the 23rd of July 2024 at 2 p.m. be confirmed as a true and correct record.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor McQueenie, thank you. For the motion, all those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And item 2.2, date and purpose of workshops held. There is a recommendation on page 7. Councillor McQueenie.
I move that council notes the information.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Gregson, thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Agenda item 3 is public question time. I note we do have a member of the public in the gallery, but he does not wish to ask any questions. General Manager, I believe we have another question on without notice.
Without notice.
Thank you.
That's correct, Madam Mayor. So we have one question without notice from Chris Peterson. The question's in 2 parts. First part is, can you advise the current balance of contributions received in lieu of public open space? Second part of the question is, does the council have a formal, comprehensive, documented open space strategy, or are decisions made on an ad hoc basis?
A response will be provided to this question at the September ordinary meeting.
Thank you, General Manager. Councillors, just before we move on, I'm concerned that in recent times, our formal meetings have started to appear more like a workshop. I'd just like to remind councillors that Regulation 22 of the meeting procedures allows the councillor to speak once to a matter and for no longer than 5 minutes. Agenda item 4 is the planning section, and there are no planning matters this month. Agenda item 5 is the financial reports for July 2024. There is a recommendation on page 11. Councillor Woods.
Thank you. I move that council receives and notes financial reports as attached to this report for the period ending July 2024.
Agenda item 6, sorry. Are there any questions?
Second.
Oh, I'm having a very good day today, am I? Do I have a seconder to that? Councillor Edwards, thank you. Are there any questions or comments in relation to the financials, please? Councillor Woods.
Thank you. Mayor, can I, we've got an elder care meeting coming up on Tuesday, and I really would like to know, or where within the statement of financial positions is where the reserve amount of some $200,000 is noted in the agenda.
Thank you, General Manager. Do you wish to answer that, or Ms. Blaine?
I will, thank you, Madam Mayor. I will defer to Ms. Blaine.
Sure. Through you, Mayor, the amount is captured at the bottom of the statement of financial position. It's in a equity restricted reserves account. There are several items in there, and I can provide you with details on that. Meeting
That will be
in due course of tonight. There's normally a summary that goes to the meeting anyway, but this level is a consolidated value in these reports, so it's one of the pieces of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments in relation to the finances? Further, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Thank you. Now, agenda item 6.1, the Vision Hall Committee minutes of the 28th of February 2024. It is a recommendation on page 13. That's Edwards.
But the minutes, I recommend the minutes of the Bishop Hall Committee meeting held on 2nd of May 2024 be received and noted.
Deputy Mayor Simons, thank you. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Councillor Woods?
Sorry, Mayor, but I think we've missed a page. There's one for the 29th of February, the page before, on 12, page 12. Sorry.
Vision Hall Committee minutes 29th of February, and then I've got the Vision Hall Committee minutes on 2nd of May.
Yes, and Councillor Edwards just moved to 2nd May. We haven't got this.
Oh,
We haven't done it until February.
thank you, Councillor Edwards. The 29th of February, thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the 29th of February minutes of the Vision Hall Committee? No, nothing. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We will move now to the 2nd of May. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Woods.
Thank you. I move that the minutes of the Bishop Hall Committee meeting held on the 2nd of May of 2024 be received and noted.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Churchill, thank you. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes? Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, I just have a question around. I see there's a new member on that committee now, Mr. Phil Harvey, who I don't know nothing about him. I assume that this has gone through the proper processes, qualifying for that position.
Yeah, I believe the
Paperwork and everything was done for that.
through the council to be approved.
That's just wanted to check that this was happening, because I think in some cases it hasn't happened quite as well.
No, and it is actually, it can be a bit of an impediment for some people. They actually don't want to do that to people on one of those committees. They would just at times to be able to come along and sit on the committee without doing onerous paperwork for councillors to sit around and say it's okay for them to sit on the committee. It is something to keep in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other questions or comments? Motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Agenda item 7.1 is the Director of Works and Infrastructure. report, there is a recommendation at page 20. Councillor Woods,
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move that the council notes the information.
Councillor Seconder. Councillor Young, thank you. Questions or comments from Mr. Forge? Councillor Woods.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a few, and I'll try and be as brief as I possibly can. On page 17, under stormwater drainage, third dot point, clean out of Raskins Beach waterway adjacent to Caravan Park, Parks and Wildlife and Cultural Heritage approval has now been received. Works completed. Is that, through you, Mayor, to Mr. Porch, is that the bit that goes under the road?
Madam Mayor, yes, goes underneath the road. There's a little footbridge that it goes under as well, and despite being cleaned out a couple of weeks ago, it's now blocked up again. Sand movement on the beach.
Right, so they're going, through your game, Mary, are they going to continue to try and alleviate that situation? Because without digressing too much, the same thing is happening at Shays Creek. Water's gone in and it can't can't go back out when we've had those big high seas of recent times. So are we going to be looking at doing some more works to alleviate that issue?
Madam Mayor, we ensured that the permissions that we got from Parks gave us an extended period of time, a number of months, so that we can go back there and further treatments. But if the weather's going, it's quite pointless if it was clearing it out and ahead of a storm and it's going to be blocked up again. So
Yeah.
we just need to get our time.
Thank you. My other question is on page 18, the alarm system monitoring contract review, new contractor appointed, changeover complete. That's under building and marine infrastructure. Does this mean that we can possibly look at getting some cameras up at the Tribunal Rec Ground?
Madam Mayor, the issues are not entirely related, but we are progressing with a program that I mentioned previously, I think through Local Government Association of Tasmania, looking at potential funding for new sites for the cameras. So we're progressing with that program to see where that leads.
Yeah, thank you. And again on 19, under the graphs, with number by category last 12 months, trees are still quite high there. That's just a comment. But I also have a question through you, Mayor, to Mr. Porch, is council happy with the way that Gradco have left Riverside Drive? It is a mess, and it's the truck movements that have gone on off the road into what's supposed to be the gutter is diabolical. You know, along Riverside Drive, but also down. And I know this is where I live. I will state that now, but where they were unloading the big dinosaur of an excavator, it's all churned up and it's not sort of back to how anything close to what it was like.
Madam Mayor, certainly anywhere where contractors, whether they're working for council or working for other agencies, leave areas disturbed and not back as they were, then we require them to come and repair. We've done one follow-up with that. Still mess there, and it sounds like there is substantial. We'll continue to follow them up and get those repairs done.
And if I may again, Madam Mayor, they might like to look at the foreshore where they've created the ramps for the dinosaur to go down. So, was that still in place? Where the excavator went down onto the beach into the water, which is quite fascinating. That aside, thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gregson, I believe you had some questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the mayor, I'll address my question to Mr. Porch. I'd just like to note that I'm very pleased that there, for example, on page 17, you've got Old Cape Road, Cranbrook in brackets, so you've signified the area, which is very good. So I'd like to commend Mr. Porch for that. And also on page 17, under sealed road maintenance, second dot point, 7 by box outs of base failures in Swansea. What's a box out, please?
Through Madam Mayor, Box out is the very technical term for carving out the road pavement to a depth, whatever it is required, in more or less in the shape of a box. So that you can then refill that. You take away the road pavement that is generally in poor condition and a little bit clay, and refill that and compact it with material that is of a superior nature to give a firm foundation for the city.
And just through the merit. Also, I've noted that you've got a new park bench in Gordon Street, Swansea, near the boat ramp. There's one constituent who was very happy with that. So he did say who would be responsible for that. And I said, are you satisfied with it? And she said, oh, very satisfied. I said, I don't know whether to take responsibility or Mr. Porch. So I attributed to you, Mr. Porch, anyway.
Perhaps to the mayor, I think probably whoever put the request in for it should take credit for that.
And my last question, I've through the mayor, of course. I noticed under 20, page 20, plants and vehicles, graded timbers have been invited. So the council will only have a new grader. Is that?
Madam Mayor, no, this is just the first stage of the process where we go out to the industry and invite quotations for the replacement of grader, or the new grader, whichever you like, and we then assess those tenders and proceed to purchase down the track. So a report will come to council in due course with a recommendation for the preferred machine from that process.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Freeman. Councillor Flanagan.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Mr. Porch. Just a really quick question. I appreciate this was probably written and circulated. Issue was raised by a number of people with me. The dog park in Alfred's water supply that wasn't moved. Is that, to your knowledge, corrected? And was that us or was that a Tasman water issue?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'll have to take that on notice. I'm not sure where that's up to. So we do have occasional tourism. Some are fed by tanks and we go on and refill on occasions. That particular one off the top of the head, I couldn't do.
Thank you. Anything to that, Councillor McLean? No, nothing else. Time for questions. Councillor Churchill, then Councillor Edwards. Councillor Churchill.
Through the Mayor, Mr. Porch, just wondering if the commencement of the Coles Bay Hall Annex is still just being held up due to unavailability of the contractor?
Madam Mayor, the start on it is imminent. I expect we'll probably have work on that commencing within the week.
Fantastic. People of Coles Bay will be very excited.
And if I may follow on from Councillor Churchill, Mr. Porch, undoubtedly we've been keeping in touch with the providers of the funds in relation to where we're at with it.
Yes, ma'am, that's good.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Through you, Madam Mayor, three quick ones on the Coles Bay Annex. Have we gone over more discussions with CoHealth about potential of any changes they wanted for it? So a doctor could be more likely encouraged to go there?
Madam Mayor, the layout for the building allows for a doctor's surgery to go into it. Price rises things, it may not be fitted out. But the footprint of the building, the fittings for the plumbing, etc., skeleton will be there, and it may require additional fitting.
Okay, that's a good start. Number two, maintenance of grade Revan Road completed. I note that the cattle grid on this end of the Spring Beach end of Revan Road is chock-a-block full of gravel. Does that mean that cattle grid is not required, or because it's certainly not operative as a cattle grid at the moment?
Madam Mayor, we were looking to do some works on the road through there with regard to seal, and have been in contact with the owner of the cattle grid to establish whether they still need the cattle grid or whether we can move it. They've indicated they are wanting to stay. As a part of the roadworks, we look at cleaning that cattle grid out.
Is it a potential time to improve the cattle grid?
On notice, Mr.
Let's take that on notice.
Yeah, thank you. And my next point is, I had the misfortune of going down Clomley Road on Sunday, and I was disappointed I wasn't in a tractor, not a car. That road now, when it was taken from tar to gravel, was said to improve it and improve the maintenance. Well, it has gone backwards 100-fold. I know we've had some rain, but the potholes there are unbelievable. I see you've got it, assessment and planning underway. Let's hope that assessment and planning happens before it rains next time. Probably more a comment than anything, but it has. I'd heard complaints and I chose to drive down it on Sunday and then wished I hadn't. That's all, thank you.
Councillor Edwards, any further questions or comments on Mr. Porter's report? Councillor Young?
Madam Mayor, Mr. Porch, through you, with Redden Road cattle grid, is there not a gate adjacent to the cattle grid that could be opened so that vehicular traffic could travel on the roadway without having to go across the cattle grid?
Madam Mayor, the purpose of the cattle grid is to keep any cattle in. So there are no fences along sections of that road where the property owner may wish to graze sheep. So keeping the gate closed is their prerogative to keep their sheep in when they do.
That property owner is on the south end of the commencement of Redden Road at the cattle grid, which is most northerly on that road. So
Madam Mayor, I'd have to take that on notice. I expect it is, but I couldn't be sure.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Item 8 is the officer's reports requiring a decision. I note Mr. Bonner, the senior planner, has joined council meeting. 8.1 is the township structure plans and consultation report for adoption. The recommendation is on page 24.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move that council adopts the August 2024 versions of the following documents as provided in the attachments 1 through 5. This report inclusive: 1, Orford Trove Structure Plan; 2, Ponce Structure Plan; 3, Visionary Structure Plan; 4, Coles Bay Structure Plan; 5, the Morgan Spring Bay Structure Plan Review, consultation report.
Thank you, Senator. Councillor Cheshire, thank you. Do you need to speak to the motion?
I'll just reserve the right.
Thank you. Any questions? Speak for or against? Councillor Cheshire?
Yeah, not for or against really, Mayor. That I do have some issues around the structure plans. I think we probably all do. I'm just interested in a few aspects of it. I mean, I don't mind who answers this question, myself or staff, but I really don't quite understand who this is presented to. Who are the people who are actually receiving, reading and using this document?
Manager, just take that, or Mr. Purvis?
I'm happy to answer that just broadly, is that they are community plans, first and foremost, and in terms of receiving, reading, getting value out of them would be the community, but as well as our planning direction and guidance. But a lot of that will be taken from what's in the structure plan.
If I may continue, just that's what I actually thought it was meant for, but it just raises for me why it is presented in a way that I think most community members would not understand a lot of what this is about. Now, just as an example, I'll just refer to it's section 6 in the Bicheno structure plan. Just doesn't matter which one it's in, but there's examples of this right through. And if you have a look at it, it says, what is the plan? Okay, and under that, if we read down through those first couple of paragraphs, but you get down to the three key components of the plan. And one is a suite of place-based planning principles underpinned by the existing planning policy framework in Tasmania. How many people in our community are going to understand that statement? Then it's followed up by land use direction aimed at addressing the drivers of change. What does that mean? How does the community actually read and interpret this? And if we take the third key component, supporting actions to provide a holistic framework for future growth. I mean, I think we know and understand, well, I think I know what they mean, but I would think there would be a lot of the community that would be totally confused by this and probably would close it up and walk away. So what I'm saying is it's not presented in a way, if it is for community, that it's really doing what I think the plans should do. That's just my opinion. I'm just grateful that this is being funded through taxpayer money, not through ratepayer money. Thank you.
Councillor Churchill, do you wish to comment from Mr. Purvis or the General Manager? I'm happy to go to Mr. Purvis, or if you'd like to comment, Mr. Purvis, on that at all.
I'm happy to make a comment. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Certainly.
In developing these plans, they are community-based and council-based. Once they're adopted, they're something that we use through strategic planning processes, particularly when it comes to planning scheme amendments, and they form the local strategy at the council level that is then reflected through the regional land use strategies and other documents like that that are part of that legislative suite. When it comes to community understanding of planning, we know that on a scale of 1 to 100, it sits at about 1. There's independent work done by Studio THI nationally identify the community has practically no understanding of planning until they turn up, find out they can't build their shed or whatever it is they want because the zoning or the standards are wrong. And other areas, including the broader government, also have a very, very low understanding. So this structure plan is different to the previous ones. It's a much simpler document because a lot of the policy settings at the higher level have been removed, and this is about what is relevant to each specific township in terms of what we need to do for the next 5 to 10 years to deal with the reasonable expectations of growth and land use. So that's why it's limited to in the strategic directions. A few key actions there about the rezoning of land and some other changes to our existing local provision schedule. And then on the supporting actions, there's a range of other issues that aren't land use planning based, but important for each of the townships themselves. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Mr. Purvis. Yeah, it does answer the question. I just hope now that these structure plans are used